Today we're going to use the playbook to look at how we can close out those actions that are tied to repair and overhaul orders where the estimated ship date is 15 days past the customer request date. In other words, say the customer wants something on July 1st and we can't deliver until July 15th or later. That to me is a cause for potential customer dissatisfier. So we want to make sure that we take a look at those orders and we can escalate them appropriately if need be. So if you click on the number hyperlink, it's just going to take you into the R&O detail worksheet, the R&O open worksheet. But if you click on the actual text right here, it's going to take you straight into your actions worksheet. And then it's smart enough to know that the standard work tied to escalating orders where the ESD is 15 days past the customer request date is on action 4. So it's this one right here, and I'm going to click on the checkbox, and it highlights it in green just to kind of keep your place. So the first thing is it's going to tell you which filters to apply and then the steps. And so it tells you to go to R&O open worksheet and you're going to set a filter, and then we're going to check some columns. So let's go ahead and do that. So here it says that for the customer I ran, which is Qatar, they had 5 orders that met this criteria. So if I click on the 5, it takes me straight into the R&O open worksheet. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my action category, and I'm going to do the filter where it says R&O ESD CRD misalignment 15 plus days. So this is where it gets those 5 orders from. The next thing that would be really helpful is if you scroll to the right, there's a field called ESD and CRD difference. So it's really taking your estimated ship date minus your CRD. So there's only 5 orders here, but what I want to show is if you sort that by descending order, it puts the orders with the biggest difference up at the top. So when you're looking at prioritizing orders, because maybe you can't get through all of them in a day, it's helpful to look at the ones that will potentially cause the biggest customer dissatisfier. So for example, this order right here, there's 167 days difference between when the customer wanted it and when the shop is saying, hey, I think I can ship it to you. So definitely one to go after. Another thing that I want you to take a look at is if you scroll to the right, there are inventory columns here. So you have LRU rotables, slow moving inventory, our specs pool, which is the LRU rotables, rework quantity, which is our mechanical pool, and the new quantity, which comes from either anywhere from HAT, from our OEM facilities. A lot of the aftermarket sites have new inventory as well. So in this case, for those 5 orders where the ESD and CRD are very misaligned, unfortunately, there really are no inventory opportunities available for you to go after. But just something that you should look at in terms of when you're looking at this particular action, trying to rectify it, and you're kind of trying to get the whole picture and the whole story. So for these 5 orders, other things you can look at that are important would be, okay, are any of the units on a customer hold? So this is the hold column, the Z136 or Z146 column, and it says that there's no customer hold. So there shouldn't be anything from a customer perspective that's causing any issues. So other things that I just want you to take a look at, there's a lot of good information here. So there's a column called gate, and that tells you exactly where that unit is in the repair life cycle. So in this case, 5 of those units where you have a big ESD misalignment, they're all in gate 2 waiting for parts. Other things are ISC column. Here's the latest comments from ISC. So one of them, there's a material shortage. Another one, it says it's still waiting for a quote, but it looks like the quote has been cleared up. So it might be something to check on with the CSR to make sure that that quote approval went through. This other one is saying that it's going to actually go to gate 3, which is final test assembly on 6/16, but that's already passed and it's still in gate 2. So again, this just gives you more information about the orders as you try to rectify these and you try to question them from a CSR perspective so that the CSR can ask the right questions to the site. So last, if you scroll to the left a little more, estimated ship date. So this is where you're actually getting the estimated ship dates from the shop so that you know when the shop has actually committed. You can see that for this valve air supply, I mean, an estimated ship date of 12/8/2015, you know, just think of that from a customer perspective. This is the date that they're going to see out of the portal when they check their orders. So, you know, how is a customer going to feel when you tell them that, okay, six months from now or so, you're going to get your unit? And that's exactly why it's part of the standard work to escalate these orders. So you're going to go to the R&O Open tab, you're going to do the research, you're going to get more information about the orders. These are all the orders where the ESD and the customer request date are misaligned. And just to recap, you had sorted on the ESD and CRD difference. And so when you do that, it kind of gives you the oldest orders are the ones with the greatest differential between the two, and maybe the ones that you should focus on first. So you get the information, and then from there, what you need to do is you need to go back to your actions. You can click on the hyperlink here, and it's going to take you where you were before. So you set the columns. We sorted on the estimated ship date, CSD, differential column. We checked the inventory, see if there was opportunity there. And from this point, now you're going to confirm with your front-end CSR that they've opened up a Z141 SAP Z task. And when they do that, that's the CSR asking ISC to give them an update on this order. So what you would do is you would email your front-end CSR and say, hey, for these orders, you can copy and paste them into an email. If that gives the information, you know, it's more complete to kind of send it in an email, and you say, hey, for these orders, the estimated ship date and CRD are very misaligned. Can you open up a Z141 with the shop and find out if we can accelerate the repair, if we can provide a status, you know, be proactive with our customer account. So once the CSR opens the Z141, ISC has 1 business day to respond back to that task and close it out, provide an answer, basically. So you're going to need to follow up with the CSR. Hopefully the CSR follows up with you. But if ISC does not respond back, then the CSR should use their own CSO tiered structure process to escalate those Z141s. Now, if you email the CSR and you don't get a response back from the CSR, and it's over 1 day, then you can use the front-end CSR escalation matrix. So this is actually escalating through CSO yourself if you're not getting a response back from your front-end CSR. Hopefully, you have a close relationship with your front-end CSR, and you know your front-end CSR where you can IM, you can email, and you have more of an open dialogue versus trying to send them a request that they pick up and they try to address. If you don't get a response back, try IMing, try emailing again within that business day. But if you still don't get a response back, I clicked on the escalation matrix. You search on customer on the left-hand side, and it gives you the front-end CSR name, the supervisor, their supervisor, the site coordinator, and then the workstream leader. So make sure you go ahead and use that escalation chain in CSO if they're not responding back. So let's go back to the playbook here. I showed you how to use the escalation matrix on the CSO side. And again, if ISC doesn't respond back, it's up to the CSR to use their own escalation matrix within the CSO tiered structure. But anyway, that is the overall gist of how you would look at orders where the estimated ship date and the customer request date are misaligned, how you would use the data to kind of get the full story on it, and then how you use the escalation chain within CSO and then within ISC to get that order escalated and worked on, because we want to ship it out to the customer as soon as we can. We want to make sure that we're aligned on shipping the order when the customer needs it. Thanks for attending and have a great day.